Hey everyone, it's the castle. Gonna explain some stuff. Alright, so with that said, I got a lot of art in the works, a lot of different types of textures, a lot of different influences that I'm gonna be pulling from, a lot of different material bases and everything like that. Mostly all I'm gonna say during this video is pretty much that stuff is gonna be happening and you'll be able to see some cool shit. At least sometime this morning when I do my next update or whatever. So there's gonna be a lot of I don't know cool stuff. So you got right here like last time I showed I had like you know the normal maps working in the pixel art type stuff and we got that. Now I just need to really just keep doing this. I need to get a few variations of floors, few variations, maybe 5 or 6 walls, and then make sure that other objects such as like stuff like this or commonly used things are are also properly texture mapped, and props and things of that nature as well. So this is just Fallout art phase going on, and it's pretty much just getting started right now. I have a pretty good idea on like the style of it and everything like that. So um, let's see. With that said, I didn't update yesterday on this because I need to do more stuff now that Valve updated their um, news updates or whatever. So I have to make sure that I have like some kind of like splash page or something in order for me to be able to do just regular news updates. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. So yeah, I'm still doing this. It just might take me another day or so. Maybe tomorrow I'll have it. I'll get back onto being able to do my daily updates pretty much. Although daily updates are pretty intense. Like maybe that's a bit too much. I don't know. But what are you gonna do? I also had a chance to actually have a conversation with creator of the creator of Project Warlock on how to get this effect where the material like the lighting um, there's certain pixels on every texture that sort of outlines. Apparently, like Project Warlock has like a it has like a let's see. I use emission maps on some textures, but this is actually an effect of the retro filter or the non-zero threshold value in the colors section. It's just post-processing. Interesting. Yeah. The one drawback with the emissive maps, though, that I'm seeing right now is that if you look really closely, you'll notice that the emissive map is always visible. Even and in some cases, like right here, I'm trying to understand why um, those pixels are particularly bright. It's like an error with the texture or something. I'm gonna have to just look into that and fix it. Um, but yeah, like if you look carefully, you'll actually be able to notice, even especially with um, reasonable lighting, like or if it's a little bit darker. Emissive maps are always visible, even when you're really not supposed to be seeing them. For the outlines of the textures and stuff. But otherwise, it works really well. Like if I uh, make this invisible, you know, there's some cool stuff. There's some kind of like neat effects going on with it, everything like that. As far as like the types of textures that I'm going for, you can see right here that I want to try and get. So I'm looking at like a lot of already existing textures. I'm kind of pulling color palettes from existing textures. So like if I see like yeah, kind of like this, sometimes I'll just like grab like a little tiny chunk of it so that I can repeat it and make my own repeating thing, and then use that as a base in which then I can draw over top of it to make my own texture. But one of the ones that I really absolutely need, I need one of these. So like two of the different base floor textures are what I need, right? I definitely want to have one of these. I'm not going to do the thing where it looks like it's a different size or anything like that. But I'm definitely leaning pretty heavily in the direction of having like tiles that are set up like this, where they have like a middle thingy. And then I really, 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 really want to have a floor with like a crosshatch floor like this. So, oh, okay. So I am doing it wrong on my side. All right, all right. So like, I want to have something like that, but a little bit brighter so that it matches the others. And then I want to focus a little bit more on the normal mapping, and and get really cool looking stuff like this. You see how like this is a pretty neat thing right here. Like, yeah, something like that where it actually the normal map will it'll be very easy to make the normal map look really good with something like this. In fact, I might actually have like a couple variations of some kind of trims like that. Um, and on that same note, like if I have a pillar, I have to make sure that a lot of the objects that I'm already using have proper UV texel densities. Whereas the pillar right here, never really noticed until I started actually slapping textures on stuff. But the pillar itself doesn't actually have proper texel density. So, like if I grab it, let's see, where are you, trim? There you are. Yeah. So if I grab one of these and just kind of toss it in, you'll notice that its texel densities are kind of fucked up, right? And when I say that, I mean this is you could tell that the texture is squished. There's certain textures and materials and stuff like that that I'm just gonna have to um, make sure that my UVs are as as uniform as possible and everything like that. So the last thing about this is that I had to actually start actually really thinking about whether or not I'm going to allow the player to select a texture, or if I'm just going to have objects with defined textures already set to them. And I'm not really sure yet. I do know that there's going to be a metric crap ton more objects like that. That data table will get big very quickly if I just allow if I just have like a list of like different objects. Like, in other words, there's going to be a wall brick, wall dark brick uh, object that you can place, and that has just one texture on it. Or I can place the wall dark dark metal. You know what I mean? Like, so like there could be like 4 or 5 different walls variations, and there's already quite a few things if you look at the data table as is right now on the meshes list. There's already quite a few objects, right? So like basically what this is going to do is this is going to multiply by a lot. Every time I add a new texture, I might add 4 new objects that use that texture, right? Which means that this thing's going to get big, really big, very quickly. Now, that's not super horrible. Eventually, it might lead to some performance issues down the line. Maybe, I don't know. Um, maybe it certainly means that there's going to be a hell of a lot more icons that need to be done. Unless I decide not to do icons or something, which I don't know. Now there's a method in which you can actually force the icons to render. There's a method you could force the icons to actually render automatically or something like that. I guess that's like a popular thing where you just you can generate the icons automatically in runtime by just setting a camera inside of the. I don't know how the fuck it's done, but it's really weird, and it's a thing, and I've already kind of seen working examples of it, but like I think all of the Fortnite icons, all the guns in the Fortnite icons are actually rendered in real time. Like while you're playing the game, so if somebody changes the art for that gun, the icon will look a little bit different automatically. Like somebody didn't actually like hand paint all of the guns in the game as icons. So, or at least that's what I'm being led to believe anyway. But with that said, yeah. Now if I make it so that there's like an extra texture option, then you can apply any textures you want, but that makes things a lot more complicated. All right? So like, okay, while you're playing the game, let me go to a map that where I can actually fly around in a world that in a world that that has something where you can actually kind of see what I'm talking about, kind of make like an example. Um, all right. So like in this particular case, you would have the ability to I don't know. So like as you're selecting these objects and you're kind of like doing all this stuff, you would in the current implementation right now, unless I change it, there would be like in castle, you'd see dungeon floor and dungeon wall, right? And then you can just be like, okay, you know what? I want dungeon wall, right? And then you just sort of slap it on like that, right? And it does its thing. You get a bunch of dungeon wall um, stuff, right? And I could do this with other textures as well. There's sort of like a, you kind of just get this like already kind of pre-built thing, and it just you just sort of slap things together. And there'll be like ways to do it where certain objects that have like materials or something like that. Now this doesn't really have a proper normal map and all that, but it's still a tech. It's a working texture example. The new stuff looks a lot better. But with that said, though, you have to select the castle wall version of it. Now, if I do this like most other level editors on Earth, like every one of the other ones that exist, what I would do is I would let you select the mesh, and then over here there would probably be like I don't know, or maybe down here or something. There'd be or over here, like you can select the texture or something like that, and then that would open up like a whole nother thing. Or maybe like you know how like I have with characters, you see how like there's the details panel. Well, maybe meshes will have a details panel where it gives you like some kind of a drop down box or a button that you can press to select the texture, and then you click on it, and then it goes back, and then it has the texture already assigned, like sitting right here. And then at that point you'd be allowed to do whatever textures you want. Okay, here's the problem with that though. Not all of these have the same number of material IDs. Not all of these objects have the same things. Like now, I can decide to do things in a certain way where maybe there's like one material ID for every object, and I just sort of force it, and anything that doesn't really conform to that, I don't know, I make sure that it just does conform, and you know uh, or whatever. Okay, maybe that'll be fine. I don't know. I don't know what to think. I think that I think that I'm a bit undecided at the moment, but while I'm actually creating all the new artwork and everything like that, I think that it'll be fine to I don't know. It'll give me plenty of time to decide. Now, I guess I could lean pretty heavily in the direction of just making it so that like in the details panel, so like whenever you select a mesh, you would have material ID 1, and then it would show the picture of the texture, and you click the picture of the texture, it brings up a big like texture menu, and you could select the texture that you want, and then it's such and such, right? That's probably the most best thing. Maybe it automatically detects, like it checks to see which is what the object is, and then it can detect how many material IDs it has, and it can display, oh, this object has 4 material IDs. That way you can have like a different texture on the side of a ramp than you can have on the actual top of the ramp or something like that. Um, I'm not against doing it that way. I mean, that's more traditional, that's for sure. But does it make things better? I guess it's fine. I don't know. I mean, maybe ultimately speaking, there's really going to be no way around it. I'm going to have to do it that way. Um, But in many cases, a lot of these objects, there's just going to be a ton of textures that'll never work with that object. There's just nothing you can do about it. So I don't know. I mean, it's not like you're working with brushes. These are meshes. They're meshes with specific UV setups. They're meshes with very specific texture alignment. It's not like you just drag out brushes and then you can move the texture around and you could do things that way. This isn't really that. What you're doing right now um, is mostly just placing meshes. So I don't know. Uh, but other than that, I can go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna end this video now. Hope you're enjoying this. There's definitely more to come. Expect to see some really cool screenshots of the textures in game and everything like that. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the game having art and everything. So um, this is gonna be pretty cool. I just gotta figure out like how I want to do certain stuff. So all right, take it easy.